Hello, my name is Jon Svec. Welcome to this All 24 video. Today I want to talk about getting started with putting together your run fits defensively. So when you're looking to stop the run, what are some basic rules you're going to have for your defense, and how are you going to react to a few basic things that you're going to see from your offensive opponent? Really briefly, I want to touch on three main concepts. The one is shuffle versus chase. The other is track versus bump, and the third is box versus spill. So I'm going to get into each of those just a little bit to have you start thinking about which of those you want to use as your base reaction when stopping the run. I will say that within each one there is the option to go back and forth a little bit, right? If you maybe decide on a shuffle, you still can mix in some chase if you wish. It'll be up to you as a coach of how much you want to just get good at one thing versus being versatile, doing two different things and staying unpredictable. That's one of the decisions, again, you'll want to make. So the first concept we'll talk about is how do you want to tell your defensive ends to react when they see a down block away. So this could be an inside zone play and you're on the backside. Could be the front side of a power where they're not blocking you and then they're going to come kick you out. But initially, when that offensive tackle wants nothing to do with you, he wants to go block someone else, how are you going to tell your defensive end to react to that? So we'll look at two main options. The first would be a shuffle technique, or maybe you call it a 50-50. So this means that offensive tackle leaves, I'm going to sit, I'm not going to go upfield, I'm going to shuffle inside towards that offensive lineman's hip. I'm going to keep my shoulders square, and I'm going to have two main jobs on this play. The first job is that if that quarterback gives the ball and the running back bends it all the way back to the C gap, I want to make the tackle. I want to be in position to make that play. My other job is if the quarterback decides to pull, I'm the one that has to contain that boot. So again, my angle on that is going to vary based on maybe the quarterback's strengths. So maybe you want that quarterback to set up and throw because he's a more of a mobile player. Or maybe you want to keep running at that quarterback. Make sure you keep him on the run because that's not where he's as strong. So you might change your angle on that a little bit as you go. But there's the shuffle technique, the 50-50 technique, one sound option for handling that down block away. As a change-up, or maybe you want this as your base, you can decide to chase. So if you're going to be a chase player, that means when that offensive tackle leaves, you're going to turn your shoulders and you're going to run right at that ball carrier. You're going to run right down the line, and you want to go make that play. So often what's going to happen if you're the player that the offense is reading is the quarterback's going to pull that ball and he's going to boot. So if you're going to tell your defensive end to chase, you're going to want to designate another one of your players as the person responsible for that boot. This requires a little bit of practice time with those two working together to make sure they're on the same page, and it might compromise you a little bit in your coverage because now you're taking a linebacker and having him press right away, so you want to think about matching that on the back end. So shuffle versus chase, two sound options for that down block away. The next thing to consider is how are you going to handle it when the offense takes a wing or a fullback and moves him from one side of the formation to the other. So in Canadian football, we see a lot of motion. This could happen pre-snap or post-snap, where they're going to take that player and slice him across the formation. Again, we'll talk about two main options. The one would be to be a track team. So you're going to track that player with one of your players. So a common way to do it is to take your Sam linebacker and basically tie him to that wing. So if the wing leaves and goes across the formation, your Sam linebacker is going to run across and match that. You want to take him behind your Mike and your Will so he doesn't get caught up in their wash. And again, you have advantages and disadvantages to this. So the advantage is that your Mike and Will, they're not influenced, or they shouldn't be influenced by that motion now. They can still be aggressive and handle their initial gap. One of the challenges of this technique is that your Sam linebacker needs to now come across a formation, and he might need to square himself back up to make a play, and sometimes that can be a little tough when you get him on the move. So as with everything, you have your advantages and disadvantages. If you don't want to do that, another option is to bump. So you can bump your linebackers over. So now simply we've taken our Mike and our Will, who used to be in these gaps, and when that slice moves across, we've moved them each over a gap, and now our Sam has come back in to take over the gap that was left by the Mike. So this, again, is a sound way to handle it. It's going to take a lot of practice time to get those players on the same page. You need to make sure they're all seeing the same thing and working together. And if one player misses that slice and the other two see it, now you might end up vulnerable. There's an open gap in your run fit. So you want to think about that. An advantage is they can all keep their shoulders square, and if everyone's seeing the same thing, this can be a nice way of stopping the run if you are willing to dedicate the time to working on it. And finally, how are you going to handle on that kick out block. So now again, you've seen that down block away, and now someone else is coming to block your end. So maybe it's a pulling guard, or maybe it's that wing coming across, or a fullback. So how do you want your end to handle that block? And again, this is going to want to match with how you were handling that down block away. One option on this would be a box technique. So if you're going to box it, that means your defensive end is going to keep his outside arm free, and you're going to take on that block aggressively with your inside shoulder and contain the play. So there's a lot of technique involved there. That, again, that guard might have a head of steam, so you want to have a good pad level. You want to use same arm, same leg. You want to keep your head out of the contact, and you want to really strike that guy, again, with a low pad level to box that play and force the play up into where your help is if this is your design. And your other option there is to spill it. So now I had that block coming to kick me out. Instead of boxing it, I'm going to try to get inside of that block and make sure the running back has to bounce and run laterally. So now again, you want to take that wrong arm technique, we call it, and make contact and pry yourself open. So now you're live to make the tackle. And obviously your linebackers behind you, they know that this is our scheme, and they're going to be ready to take that chase down, I should say, that spill. So they're going to go make the play when that running back is running horizontally. So again, two options. There's pros and cons. You're going to want to get a lot of work together with your D-line and your linebackers so they're on the same page with however you decide to fit off those plays. So again, just a brief introduction of three things you're going to want to start thinking about when you're putting together your defense and constructing your run fits. How are you going to handle those situations? Again, it's up to you to decide if you want to just do one answer and get really good at it, or if you want to be versatile to keep the offense on their toes a little bit. Again, this has been an All 24 video. Look forward to future installments in this series.